Hi there, welcome to this video. I'm going to run through the Grand National 2024 and see who we can find maybe the strongest horses in this race. So let's take a look. Okay, so I'm going to use two sites here. I'm going to use both the main Race Advisor website, and I'm also going to use the classic website as well that we have our Race Advisor Pro platform on. So first of all, I'm on the main website here, and it is Friday, so I'm going to change this to tomorrow's race cards. So the 13th of April, we can see that up here. I could have done it just using this calendar link here, but I chose to go tomorrow. Then I'm just going to quickly filter down to Aintree, so just see these courses, and I want the Grand National, so I'm going to view that race card. Okay, so here is the race card. Okay, wonderful. We got, as expected, a fair few runners. We can see up here 34 runners, prize money £1 million, ground currently expected to be soft to heavy, distance 4 miles 2 furlongs. I've also opened this up, or I am opening this up here on the classic website. I'm going to click on the 4 o'clock there and wait for that to load up. So as a starting point, we need to remove some horses. So how am I going to remove some horses? It's a bit early. We don't have the odds in yet because we don't pull the odds in until closer to the race time or the day of racing than it is currently. And we can't really use the horse most likely to win column because they're all so close, you know, like 1%, 2%, 4%, 5%, etc. And we can see 4 horses here between 9 and 7. But what we are wanting to do is we're really wanting to determine how to narrow down this field. So I'm going to start using the PR column, and I'm just going to come down to the bottom. In fact, I can just sort it from the highest to the lowest. And I am just going to remove these highest horses. I'm going to take out maybe half the field. So maybe about 17 horses. Now I might bring some of those back in later, but for now I just need to strip this down to make it manageable. So I'm going to do that by clicking on them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9. There we go. That's 17 horses. So I've removed about half the field. And you can see down here, all those horses have now been eliminated. I'm not sure why this is still showing that. It will disappear in a moment. It's because I did so many at the same time so fast. It's just kind of got a little hover reminding us what we've done. But there they are. So they're all down here. Here we go. So that makes it slightly more manageable. And I'm going to do the same to keep us in line. I'm going to do exactly the same on here. I'm going to use the PR odds. And I'm going to eliminate 17. So that's 1. So that just keeps these two side by side. This is the classic website, which is only now available to RA Pro users because we are slowly migrating the Pro Tools off here into our main site. Okay, so now it's a little bit better. I'm going to resort by horse most likely to win. Now I've got obviously the ratings showing here. I've got all of the tools in use. These 2 stars mean that these horses are top rated for both PR and VDW. So we've got Corac Rambler and I Am Maximus. We've also got Meeting of the Waters and Vanilla. They come in the horse most likely to win. But if we sort by PR, we've got Garia and Manella. Okay, and if we sort by VDW, we've got Cappadonia and Vanilla. So Vanilla is the only one that came in twice, so I'm going to keep that as a possible contender as well. So that's Corac Rambler, I Am Maximus and Vanilla, because now we need to start identifying those horses. And now normally I would now come down here and we're going to have a look at the race predictor. So that's down at the bottom. We've got these insights here. I'm not too fussed about these for this race, but we can see here that Vanilla is well suited, Mr. Incredible and Manella Indo. These horses are all well suited to this race. Again, it's marginal, and that's one of the challenges in these races, is that everything is marginal. It's all marginal. So we've got these horses here. I personally don't use trainers and jockeys in my analysis very much. That's just a personal choice. We can see the best handicapped horses, Galvin, Eklat and Ginadil. And again, we can see the most profitable horses. But I'm not hugely interested in those for this race. What I'm interested in is the race predictor here. So this is the win market. Okay, and if we look down, we can see straight away we've got Dalia Des Liteaux, if that's how I pronounce it, here at 12%. We've got Noble Yeats, Limerick Lace, I Am Maximus, and Corac Rambler. So the first thing I noticed is Corac Rambler and I Am Maximus, I think it was. Let's just scroll up. Yeah, I Am Maximus. Corac Rambler and I Am Maximus are not predicted by the race predictor to be the strongest horse. We've also got Dalia Des Liteaux. So I'm just going to mark on here. We have this feature here where we can just highlight a horse, and it's just makes it a little bit easier to see the ones we're analysing. That's a feature we will be bringing over shortly as well. So we've got those. Then we've got Corac Rambler, I Am Maximus, next with Limerick Lace and Noble Yeats as well, looking in that sort of section. So we haven't seen them before either, so I'm just going to mark those over here as well. Limerick Lace and Noble Yeats. Now interestingly, Noble Yeats looks like we've marked off, so I'm going to bring Noble Yeats back. There we go. And I'll do the same here just to keep everything aligned. So there's Noble Yeats, just keeping everything aligned. So that's interesting. Now we also have a place market here, and this is interesting because this uses different parameters. The win market predictor uses the factors that are most predictive in the win market, and the place market uses the factors that are most predictive for the place market. Interestingly, I Am Maximus looks to be the standout here. Garia is still strong. Noble Yeats is still strong. Limerick Lace is still strong. Corac Rambler not a little bit weaker than the others, but still up there. So that's all looking very similar. Now, normally we'd then come in and look at the individual horses, but as I say, I'm using everything in the arsenal for this one. So we're going to jump over now here. And I'm going to change this race card to my overview race card. This has a huge amount of ratings on, and I don't recommend anybody uses this amount of ratings. But I am obviously very familiar with all of the factors and how they work. So, first thing I'm looking at here is the upper and lower confidence levels. So I want to sort by the PFP rating, high to low. This is like a PFP is a form rating. We have a huge amount, hundreds of factors in our pro version. Again, some of those are migrating over, and at some point we will probably put all of them available on the new website. I'm going to use PFP. This is kind of a form factor. It's based on a statistical chess scoring model. It lags a little bit behind, but that's because it's trying to make sure that the horse is actually progressing. There are a few things to look out for, but basically what I'm going to do here is I'm looking for the score, and I'm looking for the PFP L95. This is the lowest confidence level. Any rating is an estimate, and while we give a rating, it's normally between a range, and that range may be big or small depending on how confident we are of that horse's performance for that particular factor. So there's data to take into account. Now I'm taking the highest scoring horse, and I'm looking at its lowest expected level. That's the confidence level, 1509. Why am I doing that? Because if there was any horse here whose upper score was less than 1509, I would instantly remove them, because they're very unlikely to be able to contend if their upper limit is less than the best horse's lower limit. We don't have any of those, so we can kind of move on. But we want to take note, however, that first of all, we've got most of these horses sitting around 1520. So there's kind of a gap. They've got scores of 1520, and then there's a jump down to kind of like the 1516, 1515 range. So these are probably more progressing, and these are probably horses that are up there. Now, sometimes the logic works on this a little backwards, in that the horses that are at the top, while they may have been the best, they could also be on a downward trajectory, while the ones sort of sitting middle may be on an upward trajectory. Just something to be aware of. But it's interesting that Limerick Lace and Noble Yeats are up there, so I would be looking for them to see if they are still maintaining that trajectory. I Am Maximus, Correct Rambler and Garia are all kind of in that middle-ish bracket. Be looking to see if they are currently on an upwards trajectory. Manella, possibly from this perspective, has got quite a bit of catching up to do. Moving along, we have a competitive form figure here. And what I'm doing here is I'm going through, I'm just looking for where horses sit. Limerick Lace again sitting near the top, but that's not surprising because this is based on the PFP figure. So that's not hugely surprising. Garia, however, has jumped up. The TD in this rating name means time decay. And that means that we give less importance to scores that happened on races further ago and more importance to scores that happened on races recently. So it is impactful. It is important that Limerick Lace is sitting up here, and that Garia has now shifted up. That's interesting. There's a bit of a jump down to I Am Maximus, and we have a little bit like Noble Yeats, Manella, Correct Rambler. They're significantly lower. So again here, Limerick Lace, Garia, and I Am Maximus. We're keeping an eye on all the others like Manella, Crooner, Cocoa Beach, Mr. Incredible. All these ones in kind of the top half, just to see if there is any that are always up there as we go through this. Now I'm going to do the same from a speed perspective, and again we're seeing Limerick Lace, Garia, Noble Yeats has jumped back up from this speed perspective, and Manella down at the bottom, I Am Maximus, Correct Rambler. Now in these races, not having that speed can be positive because of the distance. And actually the speed here is more of a concern in this race than it would be normally. So I Am Maximus, Correct Rambler sitting kind of there in the middle. Manella, Crooner kind of consistently in the middle as well. Not to be forgotten, I think. Important to note. Just sitting here. And from a PFP perspective, also, I believe, in the middle somewhere. Yep, down here. So, but we're expecting that from most horses in this race. Again, it's so super competitive. Now, this is a projection of speed. And again, we're seeing Limerick Lace at the top. Speed, not everything, to be honest, in these races, and can actually be a negative. Most of these are sitting kind of middle. Limerick Lace, I Am Maximus look to be fastest, but we'll look at pace in a minute. Garia, Correct Rambler, Manella, and this speed and pace is actually going to be one of the next features we release on the new website. So, importantly here, the going. Looking at the going, so this is speed on the ground. And we've got Limerick Lace and Manella here before Noble Yeats dries off. So Limerick Lace still holding high. Over the distance, we can see Noble Yeats, Manella, Correct Rambler all strong. So these are horses we know of. 5, 2, 7, 8. Again, I'm just looking for everything. Manella, Crooner still sitting there. A lot of these horses in the middle. That's why I'm focusing on the top horses. So we've got Noble Yeats, Limerick Lace, Correct Rambler, I Am Maximus. Again, Limerick Lace showing consistently up here. We're missing, notice, 2, 3 and 4. We obviously removed them. And we'll come back with all the horses added in a second and run through things very quickly. Days since last good race here, I would actually shift out Galvin, who hasn't had a good race in a year, and Kitty's Light. That just makes that a bit easier. Days since last one, I don't get rid of those because they could be good place propositions. Like Mr. Incredible here hasn't had a win for a long time, but has had some good races. So, and again, you often get quite high value on those horses. Win percent, I'm not so interested in, but these PFP PLR, that means if I hover over, you can see the number of points plus or minus in the last race, last 2 races, last 3 races, last 4 races. I'm looking for growth, remember. We're looking to see if those horses were declining at the top of the PFP and if they were improving. So we can see here, first of all, Noble Yeats, not great, pretty static. In a competitive race, something like that, I'm going to knock that one off. Limerick Lace, we can see consistently more points added, i.e. this horse is improving race on race. That is strong. Korak Ramble, a bit of a concern, losing points. Small increase, bit of a concern for Korak Rambler there. I'm just going to mark that off. I Am Maximus again, bouncing around a little bit, not horrendous, not great. I'll leave it for the minute. Garia, again, bouncing around a little bit, not great. But Vanilla, really poor, continually declining, except for recent, so I'm going to get rid of Vanilla. We're just going to have a quick look at the others as well while we're here, because we can see quite quickly we've got Meeting of the Waters, continual improvement, make a note. Cocoa Beach, oh, I didn't mean to open that. Cocoa Beach, continual improvement, again important. Manella Crooner, not great, but average. Mr. Incredible, maybe just above average. Same with the Goffer. Next few aren't great. Foxy Jacks looks pretty good, and the Psalm also looks pretty good. I have no idea what the prices are on any of these horses. So I'm just going to note here in the Psalm, but none of these at the moment am I going to bring back in, because I'm going to now jump to Speedgrass. If you don't know what Speedgrass are, these are coming to the new site. They are wonderful, in my personal opinion. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to say this is obviously soft to heavy ground condition chase turf. So I'm going to come into this filter. This plots every speed figure that any horse has ever had. So we're on chase turf, good to soft. Okay, I'm going to apply that filter, and immediately this graph calms down. These are all the speed figures that we have for these horses. On the right hand side, we can see the horses, and we can see the dynamically created average speed figures. So this is showing their strength here. So immediately we can see Limerick Lace at the bottom here, 341, significantly better than the rest. I'm assuming that's that horse up here. Here we go, Limerick Lace. Good, but we've only got one data point, so always bear that in mind. We can see the last few races here for Eldorado Allen have been in decline. That's a bit of a concern. Now, the National is a bit different, because horses often do see a decline before the National, because they're kind of training for it. So some of the data has to be thought of slightly differently, but still, it's a consideration for us. These horses, Janidal, Galia, kind of sitting in the middle here, as are a lot of them, like Korak Rambler, Noble Yeet. So all these horses we've heard of and seen before. We've got Galvin over here, which again looks okay, and also Manella Indo. Now, we've not really highlighted these, so I'm just going to come back quickly and highlight Manella Indo, who I think, and Galvin, who I think we've actually taken out. So let's put them back in. Galvin and Manella Indo, and I'm going to come up here and highlight them. Boom, boom. I'm also going to add those back to the primary site. Manella Indo and Galvin. Oh, I think Galvin's already up here. Yeah, Manella Indo's there, and there's Galvin. Okay, fine. So we got those back in. Now what I like to do is I like to step backwards a little bit. So let's just have a look at Chase Turf. And I do that because I want to see all the horses. And now this goes back to kind of 2019. I'm just going to zoom in kind of over the last year-ish, roughly. I'm just going to spread these out a little bit. And what we can see here with all those lines in the middle, and obviously these graphs aren't normally this busy, it's because there's so many runners. But what we can see here is most of them are consistent. We can see this yellow one declining here, ain't that a shame. We can see Mac Totti kind of dropping off, but most of them are within this solid kind of bar in the middle, which tells us what we would expect in this race, to be honest, which is that it's going to be supremely competitive. So there's not much else to gather from there, but we are now going to look at pace. So over here, and again, this is one of the next features, pace and speed is what we're next looking at, moving on to our main site. This tells us the predicted pace of the race. So this is predicted to be slow. And what that means is that these races don't have leaders or early presses generally, because there isn't a horse that wants to shoot off, which you can understand in this particular race. So we're expecting it to be a comparatively slow pace. Usually the mid-pack horses are the ones that win these slow pace races. And usually in a slow race, if a mid-pack horse can get a decent advantage in lengths ahead of the field, it has a high chance of winning. In a 4-miler, it has a high chance of running out of energy. And this helps us, why? Because we can see who's likely to be sitting in the pace. To do this, I'm using the total pace column and I'm using the running style. So the total pace gives us a score of expected pace, and we can see here that we're expecting Noble Yeats and Glengooley to be at the front, and they're going to like being at the front. For me, in this race, that's not where I want a horse, so I'm pleased that I've removed them. Manella Indo, we're not listing anymore, but we have Dalia Des Liteaux here, who's sitting kind of midfield. Should be comfortable with that. Actually, when I'm doing this, I'm going to bring back all the eliminated horses, because I want to be able to see this in context of every horse in the race. Sorry. So let's go again. So we can see now Noble Yeats, Glengooley at the top. These are like to be at the front. Then we've got this mid-pack here, and that's actually where our highlighted horses are, and that's good. That's where I would like them to be. And now you can see we're only left with Garia, Manella and Galvin. Coming down, we've got I Am Maximus and Limerick Lace. Now, I Am Maximus, not so sure about. Limerick Lace has been positive for most of them. They like to be mid-pack. We're saying they may be further towards the back of the field here. But I'm going to keep those in anyway because of previous information, and because actually being towards the back of that mid-pack in this particular race is not necessarily a negative. So we're left with these 5 horses. I would normally now do a check on the markets. Let's just we don't have the odds yet, so but let's just open up Betfair and let's have a look and see what those odds are sitting at. Now I want the exchange. I want horse racing. We're into Great Britain. Aintree on the 13th, and we want the 4 o'clock. Here we go. So here are the odds. Here's where they're currently sitting. There's 350 grand match. So yes, they're going to shift a lot, but it gives some idea. And I use the exchange instead of the bookmaker because the bookmaker are marking their odds differently for different reasons. So Corach Rambler, I Am Maximus at the top. Already we've got rid of Corach Rambler. Actually, I Am Maximus is marginally favourite here. Vanillier is sitting here. We've removed Vanillier. Limerick Lace kind of sitting at 12s. Manella Indo, 22. Just coming back here. We've got Garia and Galvin as well. Garia down here, 38s. And Galvin currently 60s. Okay, so I'm okay with all of those. Galvin's possibly a little high, but we'll keep it in for the moment. Anything that was kind of really in like 70s, 100s, I'd be a no to. I would normally be a no to Galvin, but it's a day ahead, and it's the National, so I'm going to keep him in for the moment. Now I'm going to come back here. Now I've got those horses, and I'm going to look at these. Let me do that. Let me sort by PR. So we're going to look at them specifically now in detail. So I Am Maximus. Now, I love these charts. For me, this is making the FMFR method like super easy. Because straight away I can see there's a general consistency here. Yeah, we had one race on April the 10th. Not so well. We can come down here and see... sorry, was it April the 10th? No. Yeah, it was. Oh, it was down here, 2023. Sorry, 2023, April the 20th. It was a bit slower towards the rear, pushed along, still won by 1 length. Okay, so it just looks like that might have been a slow race. These are based on speed figures. So otherwise, we're looking pretty consistent. I like that. Does it suit the race? Class, good. Race time, good. Maybe going distance, there's an issue. We can see here, soft to heavy, and obviously we know the 4 miles. We can see here in the earnings, most of the earnings for this horse have come from chase, and also most of it's come from wins. So always look at the breakdown of that. That's interesting. Coming into here, while going percent on this particular ground is 0. This is why I prefer doing the full method as opposed to the shortcut. This is soft to heavy, and actually I can see here it's one on soft, on heavy by 14 lengths, but only in a 29k race. One on soft by 2.5 in an 85k. Not so great on the soft and heavy higher class. However, the chances are is that this is to do with the class and not the ground, because we've got evidence elsewhere the horse can run on the ground. So ground likely to not be an issue. Distance, that's the issue, and actually the issue is probably heightened. We do have a 3-mile win here. This Fairy House here is a 3-mile win, carrying 11.12 on heavy ground, but in a 29k race. Carrying 11.6 today, so there is a £6 drop. However, when we look at most of these 3-mile races, still carrying a few more pounds, but we're contending. No, not even contending. I can't go there. Beaten 17 lengths, beaten 31 lengths, higher class race here. Beaten 11 lengths. So, to be honest, there's a little bit of concern there for Am Maximus. Let's look at Limerick Lace, who seem to be doing well in everything. Okay, so we've got consistent here. We've got one exceptionally high figure, February the 26th, going back pretty far. Yielding ground 45k. I'm not sure. That looks like it might just have been an exceptionally fast race, to be honest. So there's nothing in there that would indicate why. But I wouldn't call this necessarily a drop. It is officially a drop. That's why it's highlighted in red, because the last figure is lower than the first. However, when you actually look at it in isolation, this one was exceptionally fast, and these are pretty consistent. And these are also in line in terms of figures with, well, actually a bit better than Am Maximus. Coming down here to earnings, we can see here earnings again, almost all on the chase and predominantly on the win. Now, looking at the ground, we've got good to soft, soft to heavy, contended on all of these, so ground's not an issue. Distance, okay, we got 2 miles 4 here, again contended, 120k, 3-miler, contended, carrying 10.8 in this race. And again, 11.7, here we go, 10.7, so very similar weight. So again, this is all positive stuff. Have we got any more longer distance? No, so this indicates the horse can perform over the distance, can perform over the ground, can perform. So this is all good for Limerick Lace. Plus with the other positives we've already mentioned. Coming back to here, where was Limerick Lace? We remove Limerick Lace from here. No. Oh, up here. Here we go. Limerick Lace. So many horses. So again, from a score perspective, sort of middle of the field. Behind the front. I say middle of the field, top third. So again, for both of these ratings. So again, that's pretty positive. I think Limerick Lace looks potentially strong. Now, we were also considering Galving, Manella and Garia. So let's look at Garia next. Okay. Garia, down here we go. Now Garia, again, pretty consistent. Small decline, but this is possibly to be expected coming into the National like we've already spoken about. Earnings coming again from Chase Turf. Not earning quite so much as the last two, but again, a little bit more weighted towards the wins. 3-miler beaten by 12, but we got a 3-miler here at 100k, beaten by 0.75, so it could contend at that distance. That was carrying 11.10, is only carrying 10.7 today, so a stone in hand. and that was 3 miles 5 furlongs. That is strong. Likes the soft ground, heavy. We got a heavy down here where it won only over 3 miles. So again, it's a lower class, but it's one on a heavy over 3 miles on a lower class. Again, that's positive. These are two positive pieces of information. What I haven't been looking at is the in-running comments, and I should have been. And again, so we can see here, chase leader, channeling soon last, but no impression. Coming down here, held up in mid-division, tracking leaders. Let's look at the ones. Stumbled, tracking leaders, pushed up, but couldn't make it at the end. Chase leader. So this horse is going to be behind the leaders, kind of like we expected. Let's go back to Limerick Lace and just check that as well. Mid-division. So we've got some jumping issues on both of these horses. Not fluent. Last one had a couple of those as well. No impression. Track leader. So these horses are going to be in the middle, slightly slow. So we've got some potential jumping issues, but I'm going to go with that here. Then I'm going to look. So I think Garia also looks positive. And if we look at those two horses, currently we're talking about 36 with Garia and an 11.5 there. Now let's have a look at Galvin. And I believe that's our last one to investigate. Garia, Galvin, Manella. Oh, Manella. Okay, so Galvin, again, consistent. We had a fast one here. Consistent, carrying 11.2 today. Earnings, strong for the win on chase. We've got a 3 mile 5 here, beaten 9.2 lengths. 3 mile 5, beaten 20 lengths. 4 mile Grand National last year, unseated rider. 3 mile 6, beaten 2.5 lengths. That's probably the best. 11.7, 11.2. Coming down, so there's a lot of 3 miles, 48 lengths, 15 lengths, almost 3 miles at 2 miles 7, 5.5 lengths. So can do the distance, but where it's done well on the distance, you'll notice. Having said that, this ground is soft. That's going to put pay to my theory. I was going to say it's predominantly on better ground, but there is soft. Everything on slightly heavier ground, we've only really got one, not great. Firmer ground is better, good here, yielding. So definitely we'll like slightly firmer ground. If it's raining tomorrow, it's probably not going to go in this horse's favour, to be honest. If it's raining and the ground stays soft to hairy going to heavy, possibly not in Galvin's favour. If it's starting to firm up slightly, maybe more so. Don't think there's going to be any advantage in the weight here. Wearing hood to post, wore hood to post, but unseated rider. Again, if you're watching, you might want to watch for this horse in the lead up to see how it's feeling. It might just not like high levels of runners. And again, if you look at the ones where it's done well, 5 runners, 8 runners, 5 runners, 5 runners. We've got a 12 runner race here, 6, 4, 3, 4. So the races where it's performed best has actually generally been smaller fields, 4, 5, 8. So it may not like the bigger fields. So for me, Galvin, I'm going to take Galvin out. That's not going to be one for me. Now the final horse we're going to have a quick look at is Manella Indo up here. Manella Indo, again, consistent. We've got this decline here. This could be, again, in the lead up, but it has been happening since like November last year. But again, it could be in preparation. I'm looking here at the earnings. Good earnings for the win and the place here. So that's nice. Sorry, carrying 11.6 today or tomorrow. And this is... heavy ground, win. 2 miles 6. I'm looking for the heavier ground here. Beaten by 8 lengths. Not great. On the soft ground. Again, it's not great, to be honest. We've got, coming back to 2020, we've got wins on the soft ground and the softer heavy, but that's a long time ago. I mean, in recent years, there's been very little on soft in terms of contending. We've got this one win here on heavy, this one win here unyielding to soft. They were at 3 miles. 3 miles 5. We've got a 3 mile 150k race here. Last year, beaten 21 lengths. We've got the Gold Cup last year at Cheltenham. Yeah, pulled. So pulled up that horse there. So again, and that there's not much here that's giving me huge confidence, potential, but I don't think Manella Indo is going to be one for me. So that leaves Am Maximus, Limerick, and Garia. So those are the horses that I'm going to follow. Again, if I was, I would probably be looking at the market as well tomorrow, on the day of racing, as it were. So when you're watching this, I'd be looking at the markets, and that would also feed into my opinion slightly. However, it's very hard. This is a race that's pretty much impossible to predict. For me, I'm probably going to be looking for Garia here, currently sitting at odds of 36. Am Maximus 9.2. Garia, Am Maximus, and I can't find the next one here. They've all shifted order. Limerick Lace has shifted up. Here we go. 11.5. 9.2, 11.5, and Garia 36. So these are probably the horses. Now, if you were doing a stake, I don't know, let's do 100 because it's an easy round number. You can see over here, you'd be making kind of like a 340% return on your stake by Dutching that. So that's a pretty good return on a Dutch. If we want to play it a bit safer, there's no point probably me looking at these place markets. There's going to be no money matched on them. Yeah, 1700. So there's not really any point in me looking at these markets. We could look at the each way, but again, that's no point really at the moment. But what I would be looking at tomorrow possibly is some of these place markets, not necessarily the high ones. I would be looking at where there seems to be value. I will be using the place portion of this because down here, when we get odds in, there's going to be value marked down here. But to be honest, I'm less interested in value in the Grand National. I'm more interested in having a good time. We know it's pretty impossible to find a winner in this race, so this is more about having some fun. But still, I like to use that. But it gives me an idea, like Limerick Lace, kind of maybe a 22% chance of placing. Garia, a 22% chance of placing. Am Maximus, a 27% chance of placing. So that gives me an idea, and that's in the standard place market. So that's going to be in the 4 place market. So that will give me an idea. But what I would do on the exchanges tomorrow is I would be looking actually at the top 4, and I'll top 3, top 5, and I'll be looking at how those odds compare, because quite often you're like, actually, for argument's sake, Am Maximus is 3.5 in the top 4 finish at the moment, and in the top 6 it's 2.46. But actually, sometimes you will see where actually in the top 4 it might be 3.5, and in the top 6 it might be 3. So I would obviously be going in the top 6. So I'll have a look at that tomorrow, but probably going to be focusing on a Dutch bet, most likely. But I'll see what the markets are doing tomorrow. So, in summary, I am personally going to be focusing on I'm going to be focused on Am Maximus, Limerick Lace, and Garia. I'm going to look at the markets tomorrow to determine how I'm actually going to structure it. But we'll probably be looking at a Dutch bet, maybe a couple of places in there to cover that Dutch bet as well. There's no guarantee that will be the winner. That is just my opinion. This is a notoriously impossible race to analyse, but I hope whoever you go with, you have a good time, have fun, you enjoy the race. Have a great day at the Grand National, and thank you for watching.